Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at Flatpickr. Now if you're not familiar, Flatpickr allows you to create some pretty useful time and date selectors. So right here you can see I have this formatted to be in a readable format, but this is really corresponding to what you see when you click on New Event, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit because I don't really have any styling in this app. I'm just going to call this a test event. And now if we click on the start time, you can see this lovely little drop down. And this looks a lot better than what you normally see if you have like a default Rails app. So I'm just real quick going to break this so we can take a look at what you see by default. So here's what you normally see. Kind of weird. You can click on this. It allows you to scroll through the times and select different years and stuff like that. But it's not exactly the best thing to look at. It's a little bit better than like the older defaults, but still, even today's standards, these aren't really great. So instead, you can have something like this that does seem to work a lot better. It gives you a month selector with your date where you can type stuff in, change your time, and you'll see this is updating with the human readable format as we go. And this one right here is customized in a different way. So this is just using the regular date without the time even selected. So I have two different instances running on the same page as well. So that's what we're going to be covering here. To get started, you can head over to flatpickr.js.org, or you can just visit the video description, or you can just follow along. But basically, pretty straightforward steps. So we're going to do a Rails new video, cd into the video, and run a code dot. And then while that's running, we'll take a look at what the getting started looks like. So there's a couple different options. You can use a npm install, or you can use the CDNs. I'm going to probably just cover both of these in different ways. So we'll be using bin import maps to import Flatpickr, and then we'll use like the style sheet CDN here, just so you can see both ways of using this. So to do this, we have to start by running a bin import map pin, and then we'll pin Flatpickr. That'll add it. It's just like running npm install or yarn add. And then we're going to grab one or both of the CDNs, depending on how you want to run this. And we're just going to come over here to, let me bump up the font size to recording sizes, app, views, and the application.html.erb. Then up here in the header, we'll just paste in this CSS file. So that'll give us access to it. Now we want to generate a scaffold for our events. And I actually don't fully remember what the event looked like here. I know it had a title and it had a start time, I think of type date time, and a end. Let me hit F11, end underscore time of type date time. I think that's how I did it. Go ahead and do that. Now we can do a Rails DB :migrate command. And now we can do a Rails G stimulus, and I think I called it Flatpickr to create a stimulus controller. That's what we're going to use for our JavaScript as usual. I forget, I'm still running a different server, so let me do a -p3001. You can just run a Rails S most likely, and it should work just fine for you. So now I'm going to go over to localhost port 3000, and it's going to tell me that we're using Ruby on Rails. Looks good. Now let's come over to our config and our routes.rb. We'll just set the root to be the events controller index action, and then we'll close all of this other stuff that's popping up. I'll now come over here and refresh, and we are good to go. So now if we click on new event, we get this form. Looks great. But we can't use the Flatpickr yet. So let's just set something here just to give us something to look at. Click create event. There we go. So you'll see here, these aren't being formatted, and we also don't have access to the Flatpickr. So let's start by getting Flatpickr working, and then we'll format these. Although actually formatting these is pretty quick. So let's actually format these first, because that's like a quick little 20-second process. Let's come up to our app, our views, our events, go into the underscore event partial. And then after the start time and after the end time, we're just going to paste this in. So this right here is your strf time format. And if you're curious what this means, each of these corresponds to a different way of formatting a section of time. You can actually come over to Google and look for like strf or strf time format test or something. And you should see like strftime.net or something similar. And if you paste in what we had there without this, I think, you'll see this is what it looks like. So it's April, which is this, 21st, which is this, comma, then the year, which is 2023, with the %I, which is the 11, colon, %M, which is the minutes, and then lowercase p is the AM or PM. And we can scroll down here and you have a whole bunch of other options. So like if you want to add one of these, like time since 1970, that's what %S is. And then you can do like test in the middle of it, space, and then like the milliseconds, for example. So that's sort of how the STRF time works. It's pretty simple once you get used to it, but I understand that looking at something like this is absolutely horrendous. That's where something like strftime.net is kind of helpful. But okay, let's take a look at setting up Flatpickr now. So to do this, we have to come into our form, and we have to come into our app JavaScript controllers and that Flatpickr controller. So in the controller here, I'm just going to do a console.log, say connected, save that. And now over here in the form, we have to actually connect this. To do that, we can come after the model event, do a comma, data colon, and basically if you're using like a different type of form, really all you have to do is find a place inside of your form's parentheses where you can just add in a comma for your data. That'll usually work. And then you just want to add like a controller and whatever you called the stimulus controller that you generated. In my case, I called it Flatpickr. You can also do this with just a regular like form, something like this. Here you would just have to do a data dash controller equals Flatpickr, and that would also work. And then you could have your regular HTML form just like that. But okay, we now have our stimulus controller hooked up. It says connected right here. I'm going to do a comma, and I'm going to pass in this .element just so we can see this if I hit Control-Shift-I and then refresh. If we come into a back, or we click back and we go into new event, down here in the console, we should see connected and then the element that it is connected to. And you can ignore all of these other errors. That's for unrelated reasons. But okay, so that takes care of that. Now let's actually set up Flatpickr. So we have it bound. We just need to actually import it. So we did the pin install or the yarn add or the npm install. So we can just import Flatpickr from Flatpickr. And then inside of our connect method, we have to actually set up the Flatpickr. Now over here on the website, they give you the getting started, and then they give you some examples. If you come over to the examples and you come down to any of these really, you'll see that they just have a set of parentheses. The way this works is you just create a Flatpickr instance. You say Flatpickr. You then have to specify a class. In this case, I will do a .start_time. You then do a comma, and then your parentheses. And inside of this is where all of your options go. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to give each of these a class. So come into the form. I'm going to come down here after the start time and do a class of start_time. I'll do a space after this just so it's nice and clean. I'll grab this after the comma, paste it down here, and then I'll change the start time to an end time. We can then come back over here and we can have this .start time here to grab that class. Now if we refresh, we should hopefully see this change, which we did. So now if we click on this, we get this nice little date time picker that we can use. And then if we want to specify a second one, it's actually pretty easy. We just add a second one right here where we say end time. Go ahead and save that, refresh, and now they're both working. I can click on like the 5th here and the 11th here. Do, I don't know, number 2. And now if I create this, we have the 5th here and the 11th here. So that's clearly working. Let's go back though and make sure that we can add something else. So another thing that we could try here is let's try to do the time included. We can come over here after the start time, do a comma with some parentheses. And here we can do enable time, and we can change this to a human readable format. I have some comments here just to make sure that it's clear. This is what we have. We have the April 24th, 2021, 12 p.m., whatever. And then we have our date format. So if we save this, come over here and refresh, now the first one will be set to that format. If I come up here and I change the time, for example, you'll see that changes. If I come down here, this one doesn't have that option yet. So we can add it to the second one just by copying and pasting this in if we wanted to. Save that, refresh, and now if we click on this, this also has the time. But there's other things that we can do here. So you can come in here and, I mean, there's pretty much an endless possibility. Maybe you want to have like a range for your calendar. You can set this to have a specific range where you can use it. You can also do, where is it? It's the, so we can see it down here. I managed to find it. You have the ability to disable by a specific date. So what we can do is we can come down here, start the week on a Monday, for example. Let's do that. I'll do this right here. And if I tab this over, just like this, we can grab the 0th day or the 6th day, and we'll just save this. And this will now make sure that these 2 days are disabled. So if you are on the first day of the week or the last day, so that's going to be what, Monday, because we're starting on Monday, and it's going to be Saturday, I guess, unless this is a different number. We'll take a look. I'll come over here and refresh. So yeah, now our Saturday and Sundays are blocked off. Our first day of the week is Monday. You could change this to make the first day of the week Sunday. Now if we refresh, you'll see this looks just like you would expect from a work week calendar, where you can only select the days that sort of make sense for someone who's working Monday through Friday, for example. So there's a whole bunch of options here for you to explore. I'd really recommend, taking a look at it. There's, whatever you need, it's probably in here. I just wanted to cover this because it is very easy to set something up, and it does look really nice once you get it up and running. And then, of course, you can always just take this and do a bit of duplication and have it working for multiple instances. You probably want to extract this out to a function or something, but you get the idea. You can come up here and set your times and make everything work super smoothly. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you found it interesting and helpful, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.